All right, here we are, turn 12, day 35, and mostly I'm just interested in this pile cooling off. We got the wildfire haze from the Dixie Fire happening right now. Yesterday was actually hazardous air quality, 161. Today it's actually good, but we'll see how long it lasts. Just the new reality of California in the summer, unfortunately. Mostly just poor design and, well, poor design is being generous. You could say it's a sociopathic design. Basically, everything we do is pretty much the worst possible procedure we could. But anyway, back to something positive and some compost. We're going to turn it, check the temperature, and see where we're at. All right, let's get into it. Now you can see we've dropped considerably in size, which means pretty good indication that say the nitrogen carbon ratio is too high on the nitrogen side. That's probably why it's been cooking for so long. But so what I'm going to do for the next one is what I did for this pile is I filled this up, layering food scraps and paper and straw just to keep it from getting too smelly, and then which only filled up the compost cage about halfway, and then I waited another month adding more food scraps and straw until it was full. I think in retrospect that was far too much food scraps and the nitrogen component, so what I'm going to do this time, once this is full, I'm just going to combine this with straw and some weeds to fill the cage up, and I think that might put the ratio a little better. All right, anyway. Alright, let's check this temperature. I suspect it's still going to be on the hot-ish side, but so we got a 92-degree air temperature right now. $110, $112, $113. All right, so last turn it was, I think, 120 or right around there. So we're definitely coming down in temperature, which is good. So maybe one more turn and she'll be right. All right, that's turn 12. Looks like maybe lucky number turn 13 might be the last turn. Okay, so this would be turn 13, but I just went ahead quickly and checked the temperature, and it was right at 110, which technically I probably could turn it and wait another 2 days till it was in, like, one low 100 territory, but honestly, I'm just kind of sick of this compost pile at this point, so I'm just going to call it, and we're going to use it. And I mean, there's insects all throughout it, so at this point, it's not really doing any significant amount of cooking anymore because the extra heat would keep them away. Sun's already out, so it's too late to apply this to the garden, so I'm going to wait till this evening. But just to give you an idea of the texture, it's far from completely broken down. You can see there's still chunky bits, and I mean, obviously that's a bit of straw, so it's not what you would call a completely broken down compost, but smells fine, and we're just going to go ahead and use it. We're going to top dress the veggies that are out, and then I'm going to see if I can add in some mycelium and see if we can get it more fungal dominant for the fruit trees. So the one important point of compost is it's alive. It's full of bacteria, it's full of organisms, full of fungus, and you want to use it as quickly as possible. The longer it sits, the bacteria and organisms are going to start running out of food, and they're going to start dying off, or things are going to move in and start eating them. So you want to use it as quickly as possible. And it could almost be like a mantra you say to yourself over and over again. You're feeding the soil, you're not feeding the plants. You're feeding the soil, you're not feeding the plants. Because that's what you're doing. So you're adding organisms to the ground, you're feeding the organisms in the soil. So you want to make sure, if you're going to add compost to the soil, particularly if you're just top dressing plants that are growing, that you're going to have a nice environment for them to go into. So you don't want it too dried out, because organisms, bacteria, they're almost all water. So if you're putting them in a dry environment, that's not really conducive to their health. So, which means if you have a dormant garden bed, particularly here, it's like I'm not even watering most of the garden because there's nothing growing. So it's kind of like going into a stasis, dried out system. So if I just went ahead and added a bunch of compost to that and then didn't water it, then all that life I just created is more or less probably going to die in there. So it wouldn't really be the best use of that compost. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still, you're adding organic matter, and it's still going to improve your soil going forward, but you're not going to really get the maximum benefit from it. So just something to consider when you're making compost. You want to think, where can I use this? If you're just making compost and it's sitting there, I mean, it's still better than throwing, if you got nowhere else to use your food scraps, but you're not going to get the maximum benefit until you use it right away. All right, if you're enjoying these videos, you think they're useful and might help other people, easiest way you can do to support the channel and myself is just hit the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends. It lets the YouTube gods know it's worth putting in front of more eyes. If you like this shirt, it's finally for sale, the Nitrogen Fixer shirt, so there'll be a link in the description. All right, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.